gentlemen, we are back in the basement of Fundum. I'm here with Jonathan Cross, aka Butt Kisser, and then Scotty Too Hottie, who breaks chairs.
Yep.
Scotty's a sniper with these chairs, by Scotty is
no. Take out the I. I'm a snapper. Okay,
No.
I just snap the chair straight in half.
This episode brought to you by Office Max.
Yeah,
if you need a chair,
if you need a futon, go to IKEA. But yeah, so we're back with some updates on wrestling news throughout the weekend. A lot going on, especially while I was away for spring break. First off, let's talk about the biggest part of it, which is the merger with UFC.
unbelievable.
So crazy.
To make a $21.4 billion entertainment industry.
And here's the thing: while Shane McMahon is home, convalescing with the torn quad,
like my dad.
He's yelling at his dad right now from his wheelchair, saying, "Vince, we could have bought UFC back in the '90s. Why the heck are we selling to them all of a sudden?"
You're probably saying, Vince, no, dude, we had this with Dabba-Kato on dark matches.
Yep.
Come on, we could have did this.
But it's interesting to see that happen, especially, I mean, it was going to happen in LA considering Vince did make the trip out to LA.
Yep.
So we knew something was up. And then when they also announced that with that new contract of selling, he is now an employee of the WWE.
Well, he signed the contract before the merger announcement.
So,
Yeah.
who was Hector?
Nope, it was before.
Yeah.
It was like 2 days
two-year
before the merger.
deal.
So that makes it interesting. He will not be at Raw tonight.
Okay. But will his fingerprints
he did
be all
not
over?
travel to Seattle.
I guarantee you, even if he's not in Seattle tonight, he'll be calling them every 5 minutes. Change this, change that. That's good shit, pal. We need to change this and make this work. I guarantee it. Like,
yeah, no,
So-
we don't need it.
Got the women's match. Oh,
yeah. No, add another women's match. Make it a paralegal. Give me a couple paralegals.
So Fightful basically said that he wasn't at SmackDown. So we'll see if he's at Raw tonight. I just think it was he's going to be in and out. I don't think it's going to be something he's going to be doing all the time. Hopefully he realized, or somebody told him, that he disrupted the flow of everything on Monday Night Raw.
Well, that was just god awful planning. And the funny thing is now that you think about it, when you go back and look back at probably the worst WrestleMania after Raw.
WrestleMania after Raw. Okay.
Raw after WrestleMania.
Sure.
If you noticed, you could tell Vince's fingers were on them because I was like, hey, if Vince is back, that means Brock's going to get time to shine.
Well, no, he must have ripped up and tore up and rewrote the whole damn thing himself like 30 minutes before, like he usually does. Like
considering Seth had his promo changed in the middle of a commercial.
Yeah, he comes out and then
he's ready right before break, and then they come back. Hey, we cut you. Oh,
do we know what he was supposed to do? What was he supposed to do?
I mean, it must have been a rip on Logan after beating him. Is my assumption. But other than that, I mean, I have no idea. But
yeah, and nobody's made any. Like I've looked at the new websites. I've watched some real YouTube videos about it. Nobody has any clue as to what he was supposed to say. So
he's just known as the guy who comes out and sings now. That's all he's.
Yeah, that's all he does.
He comes out as the conductor. That's about it.
Listen, I'm okay with that because it's catchy. I do it as soon as it comes on.
Oh yeah, no, and I think I actually think bringing in an actual conductor at WrestleMania was actually hysterical.
Yeah.
No, you know what? It wasn't great. It wasn't great because
I didn't say it was great. I said it was hysterical.
They pumped in the beginning of it like
people
weren't going to do it.
It was
right?
bad, but I was saying it's hysterical that they actually
horrible.
brought in the conductor.
Yeah.
Sounded horrible.
But yeah, that definitely is the biggest news. It's now at least staying in the United States, not selling to an oil tycoon in Saudi Arabia.
Thank God for that.
Because I feel like if that were the case, a lot of the women's roster probably would have left.
Yeah.
So the other thing is we've talked about.
We know money talks.
Oh, I know.
No money talks, right?
Oh, we do.
Do you think that the women's roster would have just left?
And anybody smart with tattoos, yes.
Or anybody that was of a dissenting opinion to this. I mean, Sammy would have been gone.
This would have been an open door for Tony Khan to really kind of become the morph and just go mine.
Now
Yeah.
remember, these guys are still under contract. So even and the WWE does this. They don't just say, okay, yeah, you can have your release because fuck that, right? You work for the WWE. If you don't want to wrestle, that's fine. You'll sit. You'll sit for 6 months. You'll sit for a year. You'll become irrelevant, and you'll have to change your name and try to figure out what it's like out on the indies or what it's like in another company called Ref Solins or Sami Zayn, whatever you want to change your name to, you know, good luck.
Yeah, because most of those names will still belong as WWE property. So those
That's
guys
exactly
will have
right.
to go through a name change.
Except for
unfortunate.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's his actual name. I mean, can you imagine if the WWE owned that name?
That's why a lot of these guys got smart years ago and started because honestly, the WWE could have brought him in as Cody Rhodes and that could have been he would have never been able to work under Cody. He might have been able to keep his name, I mean his government name, but he would never been able to work under Cody Rhodes.
No.
Well, he actually had to fight them when he was in AEW to get
the Rhodes
part of it.
Yeah.
I remember that a couple years back.
Yeah.
But so here's my take on. I mean, the merger is an interesting thing just to begin with because there's a lot of different points to it. One, I'm very interested to see, like, UFC has got a lot of good things under their belt, but they don't have they're kind of lackluster on certain things. So
Don't you feel like they just bought a sideshow attraction?
pretty much,
Considering they're like actually punching each other and doing damage. Then you go to WWE.
Exactly. But no, like, so for example, something I've heard brought up that was a very interesting point is like when UFC has pay-per-views and stuff like that, they have the packages to talk about who, who's fighting who and what's the lead up and all that kind of stuff. But they don't always have the same production value as a WWE. If you watch like the WWE packages that they have on different people's feuds, they're phenomenal. The voiceovers, the editing.
I think this is the best part of UFC, what they're getting from the WWE,
Yes.
the production value for sure.
Yes, and I think that's an interesting thing to take away from this is like whatever happens to WWE if they decide years from now that a few years from now that they're just going to close the whole thing up, they still have this group of people that know how to do production and can do it, and they have something that UFC can work with. So as the two companies work together, UFC's product I think will increase in value due to the fact that hey, we've got this top-notch production team going into it. So UFC I think gets a lot more out of it than WWE does in the transaction. I think there's some things that they get with having Endeavor as their backer as well. They have more ability to get onto bigger networks and bigger stations and to have bigger sponsorships and stuff like that. So
explain this to me. Endeavor buys WWE. They have money.
Yeah.
Right? They have money. But WWE just froze hiring.
Well,
why did they freeze hiring?
Well,
why did Jay White not show up? Why did there's some other guys out there bouncing around. Nick Aldis. Supposedly Nick Aldis was coming to the WWE and they froze it.
Well, but again, I can take that as one of two things. One, like you acquire a new company and you're looking at, okay, like they have to go through everything from top to bottom from on the WWE side and on their own as well and be like, okay, who's good, like from the corporate level all the way down to the in-ring level and be like, all right, from corporate level, let's look at who we need and who we don't need. So they've got to make decisions on people, like who they're going to keep and who they're not, all the way down the line. So I would say that yes, you put a hiring freeze in place temporarily for everybody until you decide, okay, these are the ones we're keeping, these are the ones we're letting go, and then you kind of reassess the budget and see where the money is and be like, okay, now we've got enough, we can put it out and offer to Nick Aldis or
Now, wait a minute. Now I'm going to poke a hole in your logic with the budget.
Yep, here we go.
Why did they just re-sign Logan Paul if there's a
Thank
hiring
you.
freeze?
Thank you.
maybe that deal was already in place before the
There's no way, because
They would
for
announce it.
WrestleMania, Logan Paul says his future was in question.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So it wasn't being worked out at WrestleMania.
well, and again,
If there's a hiring freeze, why hire Logan Paul?
that is a good point. That is a
But the
good
thing is, the reason they probably went after Logan Paul is because the money that his Prime Energy drink brings into the table.
Yeah, there's that.
So that's the only reason why you hire them.
And
That's why
maybe
their
that's part of the
advertising
deal.
out too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the sponsorship deal that he gets in-ring stuff with
Yeah.
his Prime deal.
Well, and that was made evident at WrestleMania, bringing the Prime mascot out,
Yeah.
even though it was KSI.
So do you think the WWE will blame this next round of cuts
Yeah.
on UFC?
Now that I can see. I mean, that I cannot. But see, here's the thing about it. And from what I understand, from what I heard from the CNBC interview, Vince had, like, as far as the WWE is concerned, Vince has full control. So it's like, the merger, like, he's not just, it's not just an honorary position. He makes the final decision in hiring. He makes the final decision in firing. That's what it sounded like.
He's
Wait.
at the same level as Dana White.
As Dana White and almost same level as Dana White. Who's the CEO, Endeavor CEO? I cannot think of the guy's name right off, but the guy that did the interview with Vince that day at CNBC. He's just under that. So, Vince has got enough control. And again, unless Endeavor says, no, we disagree with you on this, we're going to veto this decision, Vince can say, you know what, we're letting these people go and we're hiring these people, once everything picks back up. And I think I agree with Jason on this, and I agree with you about the Prime aspect. They brought in Logan Paul for the idea of, we've got, all this, we've got more eyes on the product because we've got Logan Paul, we've got the money from his Prime and what he's going to do with that. So that'll help bring in eyes. But I still think that overall, in a general deal, they're going to still freeze that budget and be like, let's figure out who we've got. Let's figure out who we want to get rid of.
Well, they're going to make these cuts before they got a draft coming up in 3 weeks. They're going to make these cuts before the draft. And who's gone? Who do you think leaves? Who do you think's out of there?
Drew, I don't think comes back.
Yeah, I'm afraid Drew.
Because I think Drew doesn't want to deal with Vince again. So I think Drew's contract is completely gone. He will make his debut in AEW at Wembley.
Ooh.
Okay, I like this.
It puts it just
Damn
after
right.
his contract expires.
Damn white.
Yeah, but does that also include the 90-day no compete?
If his contract's up,
Contract
that
expires, it
doesn't.
doesn't matter.
Oh,
It's completely
okay.
null and void.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why in July, when his contract expires, that 90-day disclosure.
Well, you know what? Scott might be right. I don't know how they structure their contracts. A
contracts
lot
are
of times there
weird.
is some sort of not compete.
Yeah.
30-day. Who was it?
30, 60, and 90. It's
Oh.
usually one of those three.
What's the guy from Aleister Black? When he left, he had his wasn't 90. His was 30.
Yeah, his was 30.
I mean, it very
His
well
was
could
30.
be 30 for Drew, but
Yeah.
I think being in
That's a good one though. That's a good one, Wyatt.
being in England, being near Drew's home country of Scotland,
Yeah.
that would be a big push for that stadium
And
to
the
get more people.
and the fact that he just came off of a good match at Clash of the
The
Castle a year 6
And the
months ago?
Scots
Yeah.
and the Scots still want to see this man perform.
Yeah.
I think they bring him in at Wembley to put more seats.
Put
That's
more
a good one.
vacancies. I think Bray's gone. I mean,
I think Bray's done.
I
think he's
honestly, because
They're still saying it's not a physical thing, or it's not
no,
like
because
he's
what it
gone.
is,
I think it's creative.
what it is,
Again.
from what I have heard, is that Vince, when he came back into power, wanted to get the Fiend back, and Bray does not want the Fiend character. He does not like that idea. He had something else that he was trying to do. I don't know. It's not alternate reality, but there's a thing that he's trying to do with like not QR codes, but like signs and glyphs and stuff in the middle of all of his promos and everything that was supposed
Subliminal,
to,
like subliminal messages.
subliminal messaging stuff to kind of help people understand who this Captain Howdy or whatever, Uncle Howdy guy.
Yeah,
is.
that ship sailed, bro.
It just didn't work. But Bray is still like as Vince or as JR used to say, Bray is dying on his sword on that hill, because he's trying to keep this thing going, and Vince just wants the Fiend back. So I think Bray is just going to say, screw it, I'm not doing the Fiend. I don't give a crap what Vince wants. I want to do my own thing, and he's gone. So I think
Bray is a guy that he just doesn't shoot a promo and they go after it and then he's on to the next guy. Like he's like an onion. There's layers and layers and layers. You guys saw on Saturday how many different layers of that story were we telling in the ring, right? And then after the ring, leading up to that, the promos and stuff. So there's certain guys that are that creative, and Bray is like ridiculously creative, almost to the point where it drives him mad.
Yeah.
And I understand when you can't get to this step until you do this step, until you do this step. Like you can't just skip steps. Otherwise it makes zero sense. And I'm sure that's how Bray feels. And they just want to, come on, just put the mask on.
Yeah.
Bring out Sister Abigail and let's make out with her.
Well, Vince is very simple, like to the point where he's over simple. Like he dumbs it down way too much. Bray Wyatt overthinks it way too much. So I can see that there being a lot of issue between the two of them trying to make something work. And like the reason Vince wants it back, simply put, is just because he wants the Fiend back because it made more money. And of course, that's all Vince cares about, is making more money.
And that's not a bad thing when you're in business, to try to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, but at the same time, like for both Bray and Vince, there has to be a middle ground of, yes, we need something that's going to make money, but we also need something from Bray's side of things that actually makes sense.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to remember that Bray is the employee of WWE. So,
but Vince,
they are the booker, they are the end all be all. Whether he has no creative control, obviously, but whether he has a creative bone in his body or whatever, he still has to do what they want him to do and what's best for the brand. And whether he doesn't agree or not, he's either going to do it or he has to move on. And I believe he's just moving on.
Well, and I think that's why he's going to move on, because there's he is not going to be able to coexist with Vince wanting him to do what Vince wants him to do. And I think a lot of the wrestlers are going to be like that. They're like, we started to have a little more creative freedom under Triple H, and now it's all going away. It's all going to be what Vince wants. And
do you think that he had creative freedom? They have creative freedom under Triple H, or again, maybe he's just a little bit more flexible, and he says, "Hey, I know you want to do this, but let's try to do this. Let's try to steer it towards this."
Yeah,
I mean, there's a way about going and dealing with guys with their creativity that I'm not sure Vince. It's either Vince's way or the highway. I think his dad was the exact same way.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So, I mean, I think it's all in how you're treated and how you come off.
Yeah. And so
if I act like a dickhead to you all the time, you're not going to be very responsive.
No, God, no. But reports on Twitter have said that Bray Wyatt is not expected to return to WWE television until at least the earliest is after upcoming Backlash. I'm told internally it's been listed as an undisclosed illness for a little while now. Any reports going around of Bray Wyatt leaving the company is false.
Yeah, they got him for a 3-year deal, I believe. So he'll either play ball, he'll get better. I'm sure we've talked about it before. I would almost bet my life that it's some sort of mental illness. And a lot of times that's what these creative guys have. They're just so wrapped into their head, and they just can't get over certain hurdles if things come about. So I can almost guarantee that's what it is. And, well, let's get him back.
Yeah.
I'd say bring him back as a Fiend. I know he might not want to do it, but
see, I hate to say it, because again, he doesn't have Eric Rowan and Luke Harper behind him, but I think he should come back as the original version of Bray Wyatt, the Duck Dynasty version. Because that was quite honestly the
Duck Dynasty version.
But that's what he looked like. Like, you can't deny it. He looked like the Duck Dynasty guys. But that was where I first really enjoyed the character of Bray Wyatt, because he's coming out of the master of the swamps, the eater of worlds. He comes out like just his promos were like phenomenal, and
If
like
you understood him.
huh?
If you understood him.
Yeah, well, I mean, like back then you understood him better then than you do now. Like now his promos are just like you have no idea where he's going, but he can talk. You just don't know where he's going with the promo. But no, like before, like when he's coming out and like even just that simple fact of him seeing he's got the whole world in his hands and coming out with the sheet masks and so with Luke and Eric coming out with the sheet masks, it was something different. And to me, it really made more sense than what he's got now with the demented Mr. Rogers and the Fiend and Boy Howdy and all of these other, like, it just nothing makes sense anymore. It's like go back to what worked, and what worked was the original
The Fiend.
No, the Wyatt family.
The Fiend.
Yeah, well, anyways,
he was never more over when he was with the Fiend. He's the Fiend.
Oh, I think he was way more over when he was the original, because they were trying. The fans almost got him to turn face. But of course they weren't going to. It was again when he was against John Cena. But I can't speak. The company was not going to turn John Cena heel because Cena's their biggest merch mover. So they just squashed the whole angle flat, and it was like, what the heck? Like there was no good resolution to it. It's like, and that's to me part of what killed Bray Wyatt as a character is they had John. Like if they had put him against anybody else, the face turn might have worked, but because they put him against their other big baby face who they will never turn heel ever, then
What if they tried? It wouldn't work because Cena's just too good.
no, he's better as a heel. Always better as a heel because he can talk as a heel. As a face,
Did you hear his promo? Did you hear his promo with Austin Theory?
I mean, yes, his promo was good.
He don't need to be heel.
When he's rapping and dissing people, that's when he was the best. And they should turn him back to that. The Doctor of Thugonomics. That's
Well, they're
just a theory.
They're never going to turn
He's too busy with movies now.
Movies, and he's too busy. He's again.
I'm not sure that Thugonomics is or making him the white rapper is politically correct anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can do that. So who else is going? Who do you think he's got a? Just give us another one.
I think Bailey's on her way out.
Yeah, I can see that.
Ever since Sasha left, it kind of hurt her because her best feuds, I hate to say it, were with Sasha.
Mm-hmm. And her best team too.
Were with Sasha, and she doesn't feel like she's part of the it crowd anymore. I mean, the damage control thing was okay. I mean, but the team, the way that ran was with Dakota Kai, and Io Sky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bailey's on her way out. I don't know where she goes. Probably to New Japan with.
She's been in the back of some of those shows, backstage on some of those shows. So
yeah,
that'd be an interesting at Bailey. But she's been WWE for ever now. She's come up
but she's still young enough though. She can actually probably change her career a little bit.
Sure.
It's not like Goldberg where he's rumored to go to AEW soon.
Nah, that was squashed by Tony Khan.
Yeah, so if that ever happened, I'd probably completely stop watching AEW because Goldberg sucks. But Dana Brooke. She's still with WWE?
Yeah.
I think she's gone.
Yeah, she's gone.
Well, and here's another aspect of this as well. Not only are we going to lose people, but think of all the people that may have wanted out of AEW that are now staying with AEW because of the fact that Vince is back. Like, it was rumored for a while FTR was going to be gone. And from AEW.
And considering FTR just got their titles back.
And they got their titles back, and from what I understand, they re-signed.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was either if they didn't win against the Guns, it was either the titles or their careers.
Yeah.
Which was a perfect kiss off to send them back to WWE. But then they're like, oh, well, they're going to do something stupid. All right, well, here, give FTR the final shot at the fucking titles.
Well, no, because they heard Vince was coming. They must have heard Vince was coming back to the pipeline, and then said, you know what, we'll re-sign our contracts with AEW. Yeah,
a lot of guys were like that.
So
now here's a story for you that's funny as shit. Just to kind of break everything up with the seriousness for a minute.
Yeah, we need to move on.
This is funny. If this is true or not, Darby Allin once appeared on a TLC channel reality show called Sex Sent Me to the ER.
He did.
His worked story was that he had sex with a woman in the woods and accidentally rolled onto a bee's nest.
It's actually 100% true. I have heard the audio from it.
What the fuck?
Oh, is there video? That's what I.
Oh, that's there you go. Is there video? No, I'm just,
Yeah.
no wonder why he
They're
doesn't feel any pain
everywhere.
anymore.
Yeah. But one last thing on on merger and Vince's contract, and I may be wrong. You know, people like to say I'm wrong, but I'm looking at this merger and Vince's contract as the final nail in WWE's coffin. Because what I'm very afraid of with Endeavor is that they are looking at Vince as the end all be all. This is the guy that knows wrestling. This is the guy that built this company for 50 years. So he knows exactly how to run this company the way, you know, it should be run. Vince has a 2-year contract, and I'm afraid they're going to honor that for 2 years while Vince screws up the company. And by the time those 2
You really
years
think this multi-billion-dollar company is going to sit back and let somebody tear it apart? It's not going to happen, Scott.
And
But
you have to remember, he is an employee.
yes,
Yeah,
he is
they
an
can fire
employee.
his
And
ass.
you can have a 2-year contract all day long, but there's something called detrimental to the team.
but again, they don't know wrestling. They know mixed martial arts. So they're going to be looking at
That's
Vince.
where that's just a small bit of this is mixed martial arts. There's a whole other avenue to WWE and this AEW or this merger that
I feel
they
like
are
once
there. They
the
are going to make
viewership
money.
goes down,
WWE
Vince is
has
gone.
made money under Vince. Believe it or not, even though people shit all over what he's done for however long, he was still there for the Attitude Era, right? That was a great time. Like sometimes you can't always hit, and it's difficult. And maybe he is out of touch and out of whatever, and he can't. He's trying to fuck all of his employees, and that's a problem. But at the end of the day, Vince McMahon makes some money, and that is what this is about. This is about making money. He not only makes money in the U.S., he makes money in Europe. He makes money everywhere, anywhere, anything this guy's ever touched. Even though to us, to the outside people, it looks like shit, and it's not. On the inside, you hear things. These people are disgruntled. These people are disgruntled everywhere. Scott, you hate your fucking job some days. Are you leaving? Hell no, because they pay you. I hate my job every day. Guess what? I'm not leaving either. They're going to have to get rid of me. Right? It's not going to happen. Like, they are just, there's going to be anger and disappointment and people not liking this and that. And that's just life.
But this
guy's made money.
There's a difference between what you and I do and what they're doing. You and I are not in a job where we're trying to be creative and do things that entertain the masses. They are. And Vince doing stuff that derails that creative ability to make, you say he's making money. Okay, great. He's making money.
Vince is here.
What happens when Vince does stuff to stop, when he does stuff that's going to keep them from making that money? Like,
it's not happening. They're going to make money. They're going to make money. People are still going to watch. People are going to watch. If anything, people will sit and watch cars drive down the street, and they'll watch when there's a car accident. They don't stop watching. They watch. Whether it's a crash or it's just normal traffic, people will watch.
Shit analogy.
Yeah. No. It's
I and my thing is, I feel like what could be telling is the viewership of Backlash.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, if viewership is still through the roof at Backlash, just like they got with WrestleMania, which was astronomically high, Vince stays.
Yeah.
But if it continues to take a dip after Backlash on not just on the regular program, but on the pay-per-views, I think Vince's creative is gone. Because you're promoting a face of a company that has been fired for sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
You have a man who writes weird storylines where he wanted to impregnate his own daughter on television. Like,
I kind of like that.
you would.
okay. Anyway.
That was the first version of The Fiend.
Okay. Thank you, Sweet Home Alabama. Anyway, my thing is like, if you trust this man enough to run that company, you need to make sure that you're holding, you have to, like, their HR department has to hold everybody accountable for their own shit. So, and considering you're now under an umbrella of UFC, if somebody fucks up, you're gone.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he fucks up with viewership and then somehow loses money in the next year or so, he's gone.
I mean,
don't think it's
I
about
hope
losing
that's
money.
the case, but I kind of feel like it's almost like a mercy deal. Like that's what it feels like Endeavor's doing for WWE. They're giving them a mercy deal, and they're giving Vince a mercy deal. One last chance to make it right, pal. And I feel like Endeavor's going to do stuff that's going to be like, all right, he's screwing up, but let's give him a little more time to turn it around. Let's get, and before you know it, it's 2 years down the road, Vince's contract comes up again, and they're like, you know what? He kind of just screwed us over. And now what do we do? And
It'll never get that far.
Even
It'll never get that far.
Okay, even
This is a multi-billion-dollar company that has their hand and their finger and their on every pulse of their business, and they are not going to let somebody's grandfather come in and screw up the soup.
He's the one they bought it from. You really think they're going to just say
that? Doesn't mean shit. They bought it from him. That doesn't mean that he's going to still be in charge.
And this is where the argument's going to be made, because his contract states he is an employee.
Yes.
He is fireable.
Yes.
Under that contract.
But he still gets
it doesn't matter. He is still fireable.
What would you rather do?
Fire him.
You would.
Too quick.
You would, but again, I've worked with a lot of corporate entities that don't want to fire anybody because they don't want the hassle, they don't want the headache, they don't want the publicity. I guarantee you Vince will stay for 2 years, then they'll take the option not to renew his contract. But by that point, it'll be too late.
If things start to go sour, they will bring somebody in, or they will say, Triple H, I need you to this is your position now, Triple H. You're now in charge of this. Vince, we're going to put you over here. We'll find something else for you to do, Pappy.
Yeah. Well,
okay, no, wait, hold on. With the corporate entity thing, I'm going to bash you for like 2 minutes here. Okay.
His one friend, his imaginary friend, runs this corporation.
When you got fired from Weiss,
okay,
there was no paperwork. Joe just said, "Get your ass out and don't come back."
Okay, no, there was paperwork. There, you may not have seen it, but he had to write
Maryland. I'm just telling you now, Maryland's a right to work state. They can fire you for nothing.
Yeah,
in this state.
But you still have to. They still have to file the paperwork with corporate. They still have to do it.
There has to be documentations leading up to firing.
Yeah, and that is the other thing that I could have taken them to court over. There was no documentation. Joe just said, "Get your ass out."
What did you do? I gotta know, and everybody's gonna want to know.
It's a long story, and we'll discuss it off air. It takes
okay,
but
like my thing is, it's considering he's under that fire that contract, he is fireable.
Yeah, he's fireable. Will they do it?
Yes,
that's the I don't.
We will find out.
Oh, come on, they fired some of their best superstars.
WWE has.
UFC has.
When? Who?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, first off, these guys have match contracts, and it could run for 10 years before they figure out who's going to fight who. They have a guy, and I can't remember his name. They have a guy that they've been chasing at for years and years and years and years and years. And they've gone to countless dinners trying to get this guy and blah, blah, blah. And he just keeps kind of, he's playing the game. They just said, you know what? We don't need you. The hell with it. We're done. Right. UFC is a different animal. They're not, they're not Vince McMahon's kids. They're not Vince McMahon's father or cousins or whatever. They're not related. So at the end of the day, this is about the business. And if the business is starting to get hurt, someone's going to pay.
Yeah, they've got to maintain face.
We'll see. We will see. I'm
Plus, it's
still,
going to be isn't it going to be a new publicly traded company?
yeah.
Yes.
But that's where they're still set, like they're all under one umbrella, but they're still two separate companies.
But it's
underneath.
funny, now that you think about it, and we've talked about it before with the sports betting, that just tanked whatever options they had, because now when the UFC bought WWE, they're like, oh, we've now made an entertainment company.
Mm.
Well, there go those rights to betting, because you
Yeah.
just called it an
Yeah,
entertainment.
that was never going to happen. The only thing that's
I
going to
know,
happen,
but it's now completely
Yeah.
squashed
Yeah.
with that option. So I mean, it's completely gone. There's just nothing's gonna happen from it.
it's all if it does happen to be all prop bet shit, it won't be anything who wins what, because honestly, I would take the underdog every time. Every time I'm taking the underdog.
And we also can't forget that the way that DraftKings does WWE stuff now is fantastic. How many finishes are going to be hit? What moves is Roman Reigns going to hit? Like how many Superman punches? How many spears? That's a good way to do the betting.
Yeah.
Not the other way where easy wrestling fans like us can take advantage of the money like that.
Yeah.
Are we sharp, Marks? Is that where we are? We're sharps.
Depends on how sharp we are.
I don't know. Scott could have won $1 billion this last weekend.
Yeah.
17 hours ago. This is interesting. From PW, Professional Wrestling Chronicle, Vince McMahon will no longer have majority voting control over WWE or other entities. Once WWE merges with the UFC under Endeavor, McMahon is estimated to hold around 18% of all shares.
Interesting.
That just took a majority of his shares and just shit on them.
Yeah, but that's also, and again, this is where it gets interesting. That's corporate level stuff. The thing that I'm afraid that they're still going to do is keep it, like they're going to say, well,
it doesn't matter. They can get rid of him. He can piss on his 18 shares. They don't care. They couldn't say
That's
Vince,
a small chunk to the UFC.
Vince, you're fired. And he goes, well, no way. I'm at 49%. It's not like that. He's got 18%. He's
that just now makes it easier to separate that tie with him.
Yeah, we will buy your shares.
The fact
back,
that they
sir.
minimized his shares from whatever it was originally, which was probably supposed to be 50-50.
yeah,
But if they minimize the 18%, that means that Band-Aid can just go, yoink, okay, we're done. See ya. Have fun.
Yeah. Here's
again,
another
that's
$3.5 million. Have a nice day.
yeah.
He'll get a severance package, but that'll be
Sure,
it.
sure.
But here's the thing. Again, I'm going off of what I saw on CNBC. They were saying I forget the gentleman's name that was with him, the head of Endeavor, was saying that Vince has creative control. He doesn't have the majority voting rights, but he has creative control.
Okay, again, you're right. He has creative control. Whoopty shit. The fact that they took away his shares to 18%, okay, and that also gives the UFC buffer to get rid of him whenever they want.
Okay.
And hold him accountable for the mistakes. Because if they start losing in Endeavor with that company, they want to make sure they're making the best product, the best ideas out there to bring people in. If he fucks up once,
No, it's
goodbye.
gonna be.
I think what's going to screw Vince in the end is there's going to be something else come out.
Yeah.
Sexual misconduct or something.
Yeah,
they're going to
I
have to. They're going to have to.
I agree.
I think that's what's going to happen.
See, I can see them getting rid of him over that more than I can see them getting rid of him over creative. I honestly, that would be the final nail in this.
Well, I mean, come on, you're gonna sit there on live TV in an interview and not kiss this guy's ass?
But again, there's more to it. I think there's more to this deal than what we're seeing.
The only reason the UFC is kissing so much ass is because, I hate to say it, Vince is an icon in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And
He is wrestling.
He is wrestling. I mean, for God's sakes, he bought a whole bunch of fucking territories.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, mine.
He took them.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
took
that.
him. Yeah.
He took them.
He did that thing. He did.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to relate that. Okay, I'm not going to do my history thing. All right, I was going to go on a history tangent. I'm not going to do that because that's not appropriate. But if you know me and know me well, you know exactly what tangent I'm about to go on.
I know. I can already hear it. Well, let's move on to another subject. And I think what?
I don't know. I'm having fun with this. I don't know why. I'm poking holes in logic that shouldn't be poked, and it's great.
Yeah, well.
We got to get debate. We got to get the wrestling fans talking about something. And right now, this is the only good shit going on.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I think that we do need to sit down and talk about a little bit just is memories of Bushwhacker Butch.
Well, okay. I was hoping to go for something more joyful, but okay, we can talk about a death for a minute.
Well,
I wish I had prepared something for Butch, but
well, like, just like it's sad to hear what happened. He was out in California for convention out there, and ended up, passing away very suddenly due to an undisclosed issue, and we still have no idea what happened. But
and I don't think we will.
Yeah.
I think his family will keep that to themselves.
probably.
Um,
But like, I find it
now aren't
interesting.
both Bushwhackers? No, they were both supposed to be together.
They were
weren't
they were there. Luke was at the
They were
convention.
both there.
Yeah. And like Butch couldn't make it for day one because of the fact that he was feeling ill, and then he ended up dying in the hospital out there. But that was his first trip going to be his first trip to the US in over 20 years. So
Hi, welcome back, Grim Reaper. Bang! Fuck!
Wow.
yeah.
But
I like going back into the history of the Bushwhackers before they were the Bushwhackers. Butch and Luke were a team years ago called the Sheep Herders. There have been several incarnations of the Sheep Herders over the years. What?
Nothing. Jason changed his name.
I can't even say. I can't.
I realized he changed his name.
Yeah, well.
Oh fuck.
But
anyway, it's definitely unfortunate. I mean, I would love to see that news, see what happened to him. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of great moments from the Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the undersung tag teams in WWF.
Yeah, very much so.
I have both their fucking Hasbros, which is amazing that I found both.
Oh wow! Signed?
No, they're out of the box.
Oh what?
They were loose when I bought them. I can't find them in the packaging.
All right.
They'd be too expensive if you found them in the packaging.
Well, now that they will be.
Yeah.
Get over
Did the Bushwhackers ever have the tag team titles?
No,
never did.
not in WWF.
What a tragedy!
I
Right?
know.
Can create an honorary one. Fuck.
Yeah. But
Whoa, what? These guys, these were the first gimmick guys that I enjoyed them. Every time they came to the ring, they were very fan friendly. Their whole gimmick, the armpit, the hand in the armpit, or just
Licking
marching around the ring,
licking kids' heads.
licking each other. It's weird, but whatever.
Yeah.
And that's probably what killed him.
I mean, over their illustrious career, they worked in the WWF, the Jim Crockett promotions.
Yep, JC.
But they were both inducted in the Hall of Fame of 2015. They are also in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum in 2022.
Okay.
So it's interesting that the list of names that they had for their gimmick is great. So we have the Bushwhackers, which is their big mainstay, the Kiwis, the Kiwi Sheep Herders,
Yep.
Los Pastores in Puerto Rico,
Oh, jeez.
the New Zealand.
Okay.
Then we have the Sheep Herders, and then I'm gonna butcher this, the Sacamenticas in Spain.
Oh, jeez. Interesting.
But yeah, they combined weight was 496 pounds.
Yeah. But no, like the Sheep Herders, I've heard so many interesting stories about Butch and Lucas, the Sheep Herders. Their
finisher was a battering ram, right? Wasn't that what their finisher was? The battering ram?
Yes, the battering ram.
Yeah.
And like they were hardcore before hardcore ever had a name. These guys were like Butch and Luke were the blood and guts tag team. They were having bloody matches every night in many different territories. I think they were in look at that list again. I think they were in Mid-South as well as Memphis areas.
That wouldn't surprise me. Considering it was a Jim Crockett one.
Oh no. Memphis was Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry Lawler.
Mid-South was Bill Watts.
Probably.
So like they were having bloody matches and stuff like that. And then they put their bodies to a hell of a lot at that time. And then they go to WWF and completely change their gimmick up and become this kid-friendly tag team that
Yeah.
is
So, can you guess the debut? When did the debut?
well, again, which Butch and Luke
I'm
together.
talking about Bushwhackers in WWE. That
Oh.
we're talking about it. When did they appear? When did they make their debut in WWE?
1987.
No, 89. I think it's 89. Wasn't it summer of 89?
Ah, you guys were both around it.
That's-
December 1988.
Oh, okay. I win. He went over.
The team's name was changed to the Bushwhackers and developed a more comedic style. The
Yep.
comedy act involved licking each other, fans, and even their opponents. Their first match in WWF was at a matinee house show on December 26, 1988, facing who?
It was Demolition around at
In
that point?
88,
In 1988, December 26th, they were facing who?
did they go over?
No, probably not.
I bet they did on their debut.
The only couple of teams I can think of in 88.
Was it a team or was it a put together team?
It was a team.
Heart Foundation?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
Do
they
you want the
were
two
going-
members of the team? names?
Well, no, that would give it away.
Would it?
Maybe.
We don't talk about this group at all.
Let's go Tom Zink and Rick Martel.
Mm-mm.
No? Damn it.
Don't tell me it was the Killer Bees, Brian
Nope.
Blair and
Nope.
okay.
No. Be Brian Bear.
You want it?
Yeah, let's hear the
No.
names.
Yeah.
The Bolsheviks.
Oh shit.
Boris Zhukov and Nikolai Volkov.
Volkov, the Bolsheviks. Yes. That makes sense.
Unbelievable.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because I do remember like I remember seeing stuff where I was only 4 years old at that point, but I remember seeing stuff later in life about them having a short run, like kind of like the Hacksaw Duggan style and the Hulk Hogan style, the pro-Americans versus the Russians. And they had a short feud with the Bolsheviks, if I remember correctly, as they had a little run with them in their early run. That makes sense.
But
That's
on
funny.
that sad note, we do send our thoughts and prayers. I know it happened, this past weekend or, a couple weekends ago. But again, the Bushwhackers deserved probably a title run,
Yeah.
but never got it. But I think it was because of their comedic style. They could never probably run with a title.
Yeah.
Right.
But please follow, like, subscribe. We actually have a somewhat famous TikToker now subscribed to our YouTube channel. From TCW, Lucius,
TCW.
which we'll talk about later. But thanks for watching, and look out for more content coming out shortly.
Peace.